Hello and welcome to the 2021 North Alabama Annual Conference COSROW Report. COSROW stands for the Commission on the Status and Role of Women. And I'm going to begin today's presentation with a movement prayer from Proverbs 31, verses 10a and 31. If you could use a stretch break from this virtual meeting, I invite you to join me in this movement prayer. And feel free to just watch the first time, and then I will do the prayer again to teach you. Proverbs 31, verses 10a and 31. A woman of strength, who can find? Give her a share in the fruit of her hands. Let her work praise her in the city gates. Once more, all together, if you wish. A woman of strength, who can find? Give her a share in the fruit of her hands. Let her works praise her in the city gates. I have begun with this scripture because Proverbs 31, 10 through 31 is a poem praising the strength and creativity of women. This poem references women's ability to teach scripture and lead all sorts of activities for their family and for the world at large. And it points to a problem that has persisted for centuries, that women and our strengths are often overlooked. And I believe the problem that existed both then and today is not that women of strength are exceedingly rare, but rather that not enough people around us are taking note of the women of strength in our lives. As women and as COSROW, we are not asking for special attention from our North Alabama Conference. We're not asking for a handout. We are asking to be recognized for the skills and work that we have contributed and will continue to contribute. Give her a share in the fruit of her hands. Let her works praise her in the city gates. Or in other words, let women be publicly recognized for our work. Our work is all around, so take note. I welcome you to get mentally and physically invested in this scripture through movement prayer, because you are a part of this important work of women's equity and women's participation in the total life of the church. It is not only up to COSROW, not only up to the cabinet, and not only up to the bishop, but all of us as a church must work together to achieve our goals of equity and dignity. But before I go into an update on our 2018 resolution on parity in appointments, I first want to remind everyone of some of the other important work of COSROW. COSROW advocates for the full participation of women in the total life of the church. And that includes supporting and advocating for women and all victims in cases of sexual abuse, misconduct, and assault. This is not an easy subject, but sexual abuse is real, and it does happen in our church, and it happens in our own conference. It is important to be aware of the policies and resources available to us before we need them. A website where we can go to learn about sexual ethics and about how to respond in case of a violation is umsexualethics.org. This is a comprehensive place to look for any person, a victim, a pastor, a DS, a bishop, and a comprehensive look at every step of the process of responding to violations of sexual ethics. Now, I turn to reporting on our progress toward equal salary levels of full-time clergy in our conference, which began as a resolution in 2018. In 2018, our conference unanimously passed the resolution concerning parity in appointments. We passed it unanimously. Together, we declared with the author of the Proverbs, give her a share in the fruit of her hands. Let her works praise her. Let women be treated equally for equal work, and let women's works be publicly celebrated and rewarded. The full text of the Parity in Appointment Resolution is available in the 2018 Annual Conference Journal in paper or online. But for now, I will summarize some of the data and action steps that we affirmed together in 2018. This resolution was presented by North Alabama COSROW and the Cabinet. The resolution showed that in the 2017 appointment year, 17% of full-time clergy in our conference were female. At that time, only 2% of the available salaries at $100,000 or higher were earned by women. And actually that was only one woman. Only one woman out of 46 people earning $100,000 or more was a woman. Only 4% of the available salaries at $70,000 or higher were earned by women. That was 4 out of 104. So just to repeat, 17% of clergy full-time were women, but only 2% of the salaries at $100,000 or higher were earned by a woman, and only 4% of the salaries at $70,000 or higher were earned by women. In response to that disparity, the resolution called on us as a conference to increase appreciation and receptivity of women in lead pastoral appointments. It called on us to dismantle gender discrimination in the appointment-making process, to narrow the disparity between men and women full-time clergy by the 2020 appointment cycle, and to hear a report at the 2021 annual conference as to our progress on this matter. Over the last 18 months, we've experienced a global pandemic, which presented all kinds of challenges, as you all know. And additionally, there has been a great deal of turnover on COSROW's leadership team. I am a new leader of COSROW over the last year. And the data I am able to report at this time is not as complete as I would like it to be. And virtual would not be our preferred medium for reviewing and finalizing such a critical resolution to the well-being of our conference. So following this update, I will motion that we hear a further updated report at our 2022 annual conference, and also have an opportunity to hear a renewed resolution that calls us to our commitment to achieving equity in our conference. The 2018 resolution did not specifically state that we must encourage more women to become clergy in our conference, but I think that's a glaring part of the data. Only 17% of our full-time clergy were women, and we have been ordaining women publicly in the United Methodist Church since 1956. We should have generations of vital women leaders in our conference. And today, we are still only at 19% of full-time clergy being female. 19% of our full-time clergy are female. We must encourage women of all ages in our churches and in our communities to take on leadership roles and listen for God's call. The 2018 resolution showed that only one woman earned a salary of $100,000 or higher. Today, that number is 6. In 2019, the goal number for proportional women earning that salary was 8. I lack the data on what this year's proportional goal number should be, and that's because I don't know how many salaries are available during this appointment year at the level of $100,000. But we do have 6 women earning at least $100,000. The 2018 resolution showed that 4 women had a salary of $70,000 or higher. Today, that number is 11. In 2019, the goal number for women earning at least $70,000 was 19, and I lack the data on what this year's proportional goal number should be. We have made progress toward our goals, and that is clear. But as a female leader, I would like to see more progress. As a female leader, I don't know why we don't have a proportional number of women who are leaders to the number of women who are earning a high salary level working alongside the men in our conference. While we make progress, we also continue to meet with hostility and resistance of people who still feel that women can't be the lead leader, or that women lack natural strengths and abilities that men have, or that a woman will do only if a man is not available. One of the things that all of us must do in response to these struggles and in continued response to our 2018 resolution is to praise the women leaders who we know and work with and serve with. Let her works praise her in the city gates. And I speak especially to all of you, the laity, when I remind you that the first step affirmed in our 2018 resolution was to increase appreciation and receptivity of female clergy. Appreciation and receptivity are a laity matter. Appreciation happens when your finance and SPRC committees come together to decide on a raise for your church staff. It happens when you thank your pastor at the end of worship. It happens when you post on social media to talk about what a stellar pastor you have. It happens when you phone your DS or send them a text about a good thing that your pastor did for your church. Appreciation happens when you show up at your church committee meetings. You are here today. And if you're a lay member to annual conference, you automatically have a seat at the table. Don't treat this as a burden, but treat it as an opportunity to build the kind of church that you want, and the kind of church that we all unanimously voted to build 3 years ago, one in which the gifts of women leaders are treated as worthy of equal compensation and justly celebrated. In closing, I motion that we hear an updated statistics report on the parity of women in appointments at our 2022 session of annual conference, as well as hearing a renewed resolution to strengthen our commitment to equity. Thank you for joining me in looking for and celebrating the women of strength in our conference. And now we can join in voting on this matter.